$660? Do you want to get into a very good JRPG series, but don't want to pay $660? Well, then today's video is for you. In today's video, we're going to do three things. Number one, I'm going to show you guys how to save some money. Number two, I'm going to go through all of the modern Atelier games. And number three, I'm going to give you guys 3 suggestions of which game I think you should start with if you've never played any game in the series before. And we're even going to talk about Atelier Nelki, which a lot of the other YouTube people have kind of neglected this game, so today we're going to rectify that. Okay, the first thing you're going to want to do if you want to buy these games but you don't want to pay full price is you want to use this website. It's called Deku Deals. So you can go to this website and then make an account, and then you can have 2 lists. The lists of the games that are already in your collection, and then a list of your wish list. Then you can look up Atelier, and then you can push this button and add it to your wish list. Then, once you click on the game, you can see this chart here, and this chart will tell you what price it's been every single day since the game came out. And what's also really good about it is if it's a game that's physical and digital, they'll have 2 different colors, and they'll tell you the different prices over time of the 2 different types. And it has all of the retailers, so like Target, Walmart, GameStop, it has it all. Well, I guess I'm all set to go buy the Atelier series now. Not so fast. On the Switch, there's 14 different Atelier games. So next we're going to look at these different games. Okay, so we have 3 trilogies. So 3 times 3 brings us to 9. So we got 9 games that are in the 3 trilogies. Then we have Ryza 1, Ryza 2, Sophie 2, Lulula, and then we have 1 spin-off game, which is Nelki. So that brings us up to 14 games. Let's start by talking about the 3 trilogies. The 3 trilogies, these games were released on older consoles, and then now they've all been remastered on the Switch. The first series to come out was the Arland series. In the Arland series, we have Rorona, Totori, and Maruru. In the Dusk series, we have Aisha, Eska and Loji, and Shally. And finally, we have the Mysterious Trilogy, which is Sophie, Firis, and Liddy and Suel. Regularly, these games sell for $40 each, or you can buy the trilogy, so a set of 3 of them for $90. So you'd save $10 per game if you buy them as a trilogy. However, the cheapest way you can get them is to do the Deku Deals thing, and then wait for the entire trilogy to get 30% off. If you look at these 3 trilogies and you look at their charts, they usually only go down to about 30% off. However, the Arland series once, it got all the way down to 40% off. However, that only happened once out of all 3 of these trilogies. Usually they only go down 30% off. But for some reason, Arland it once was 40% off, but it hasn't been that way in years, so I think it was just like an accident or something. Next up, we have 4 games that are full-fledged Atelier games, but they're not a part of one of the trilogy bundles. The first one is Atelier Lulua, and Atelier Lulua is actually a sequel to the original Arland games. Next up, we have Ryza 1, and Ryza 2. These games are probably going to be a trilogy eventually, but right now we just have 1 and 2. And the last one is Sophie 2. It's actually a sequel to the first game of the Mysterious Trilogy. For these 4 titles, I would say wait until they're about half off. Since they're the newer titles, they're not really going to get very low, and they're not a part of a bundle. So for these titles, you'll just have to watch them on their own. And we got one last title. It's Nelke. She follows the same rules as the last 4 games. You can probably get it at the best about half off, so you'll probably pay about $30 for this one. Atelier Nelke, I recommend getting it later on once you've already played some of the other games. And it's not a typical Atelier game. It's more of a town building game, and the characters from all of the different Atelier games, they're going to be in this game, except for Ryza. Now we're on to the third and final part of our video. Oh yeah! It's where should you start? And I got 3 different recommendations depending on your situation. So, here we go. Option number 1 is to start with Rorona. The first main reason why you might want to start with Rorona is because it's the oldest modern Atelier game. So if you want to start at the very beginning, this is the game that you should choose. If you start with Rorona, you can continue on with the rest of the Arlen series, and each game in the Arlen series builds off of its predecessor, and all 3 games are all worth playing. Option number 2 is to start with Ryza. You should start with Ryza if you want to play a game that was made from the ground up for current generation consoles. Ryza was also the first title to do really well in the West, and it was a new beginning of sorts. Ryza was so popular that it became the first title to receive a direct sequel. Atelier Ryza was my first Atelier title, and it made me fall in love with the series. And the third and final choice you have for starting Atelier Series is Atelier Series. Atelier Series is my favorite title in the series so far. It was the first title to do an open world. Atelier Series is my favorite because of the open world, but also because of the storyline. The storyline in Series is a bit more involved than in some of the other titles. From very early on in the game, you have a mission, and everything that you do is to complete that mission. Then, after completing the mission, you're kind of free to do whatever you want. So for me, having this mix of having a mission to do, but then also being able to have fun and do what you want, makes it the best title in the series for me. If you liked today's video, please like, comment, and subscribe. One of my upcoming videos, I want to do my personal top 5 in the Atelier series, and my list is going to be a lot different than a lot of the other lists that I've seen other YouTubers post. Is it going to include Atelier Nelke? Guess you'll have to wait and find out.